Welcome, ZASLOW Show 2.0. It is a Tuesday, the 30th of May. Good to have you aboard. We are a Blue Wire podcast presented as always by Anidjar and Levine, accident attorneys, 800-747-FREE, 800-747-3733. And we start out a Tuesday show. We did do a Memorial Day show yesterday. Thanks to everybody who hung out with us. And we start out a Tuesday show exactly the way that we hoped we would. And that was coming off of a Game 7 win in Boston last night. And what has been the last almost 2 weeks, the most incredible stretch of sports in South Florida sports history. We've gotten both. The Heat and the Panthers have advanced to their championship rounds. The Panthers are in the Stanley Cup Finals beginning this Saturday in Vegas. And the Miami Heat are back to the NBA Finals for the 7th time in 35 years of Miami Heat basketball. The Miami Heat are on the grandest stage of them all and will play for the biggest prize in the basketball world after shocking the basketball world, shocking me. I got to raise my hand. I'm not going to sit here and tell you. You know, sometimes I'll pull a reverse jinx move. No, the way that I felt the previous 48 hours was not a reverse jinx. I was terrified last night. I did not think we were going to win. I did think that if we kept the game close, that I believe in our guys and I believe in Jimmy. But I just wasn't sure that this team was going to be able to recover from the way Game 6 ended. And I couldn't have been more wrong. And I couldn't be more happy than I am with that performance last night. And by the way, I love that it was a blowout. Now, that didn't keep me from being super stressed all throughout the game. But I loved, being able to relax somewhat the last 5-6 minutes of the game. You know, I kept going upstairs and I was giving my wife updates, all right? You know what was going on. I go up after the first quarter, Heat are up 7. But I'm down, you know. I'm not getting excited about anything. This is going to be a struggle, you know. I go up after the first quarter, Heat are up 7. Go up at halftime, Heat are up 11. Go up after the third, Heat are up 10. And then I went up with about 5 minutes left, finally with a smile on my face. We're up by 20. We're going to do it. And, I mean, the whole day yesterday, the day was a struggle, man. I was on ESPN Radio yesterday afternoon. I was on VSiN Live last night. And you know, it was the same thing that I was telling both of them. Yesterday was a struggle, man. We're just trying to get through the day and get to 8:30. How can I kill time? So I did my show yesterday. Did ZASLOW Show 2.0 on Memorial Day. You know, we have to react to what took place on Saturday night. At the time, worst moment in Heat history. And of course, we got to do a show on the day of Game 7. I also pumped out a new episode of It's Still Real to Me, AEW Double or Nothing reaction. So go check that out as well, wherever you get your ZASLOW Show 2.0 podcast. And so killed a little bit of time in the morning, pumping out both those shows. Then we get the family into the car. We went to Topgolf. And I'll get to that coming up. First time I've ever played at Topgolf. So killed some time doing Topgolf. Then came home, had a little bit more work to do, and then watched the Succession series finale. Killed an hour and a half like that, and then finally, it's game time. And I did some barbecuing, made some steaks, threw some steaks on the grill. You know how we do in the ZASLOW mansion. So finally, we get around to last night. And I told you guys, I got to be the first one who raises my hand. I was not confident. I was scared to death. And that wasn't reverse jinx. I'll do reverse jinx sometimes. But I'll be honest about it. I did not feel good last night. I'm thrilled that I was wrong. I was so scared. And part of the scare was, you think I need first team ever blowing 3-0 in the NBA? You think I need that shit in my life? That's forever. that shit in my life. So there's no escaping that. And I was scared to death that was going to wind up being the case. So I was super nervous for 48 hours, man. And also part of it, I spent those 48, like I was moping around Sunday, moping around Monday. It was like someone died. I was at my peak Miami Heat fandom, where it's life and death. And I haven't done that in a really long time. Like, we're talking 10 years easy. The last time that I behaved that way, or at least the last time I felt that way, was after the Heat lost Game 5 to Boston. Game 5 to Boston at home in the 2012 Eastern Conference Finals. And then the blueprint was on the line, and then LeBron had the 42 point game, I think, in Game 6, and we end up winning Game 7. But after Game 5, there's the picture that Sedano, really sneaky move on his part. He snapped the picture of me after the game, and it lives forever on the internet. And from between Game 5 and Game 6, and by the way, Game 6 that year, I did not enjoy. I was scared to death going into the game, and I only enjoyed that game when it was over, even though the Heat led by 15 the entire game, just like last night. So that was the last time that I was treating it like life or death. And I was just like, I was catatonic after the game. That was 11 years ago. But my behavior during Game 6, I was on my feet the entire game in front of the TV, yelling at the TV, screaming. It was peak ZASLOW fandom madness. And I haven't spent that kind of energy on a game in at least 15 years. Going back really to 2006 when the Heat won their first championship. Because you got to understand, I can't expend that kind of energy during games. I was on the broadcast the previous 13 years before this year. So I wasn't behaving like that during games. And Saturday night's Game 6 was a throwback performance from your boy. And it drained me. It's like I emptied the tank on Saturday night and I had nothing left. And I felt broken the last 2 days leading into last night. Not confident at all. I wasn't doing reverse jinx. I would love to admit to you guys that I did reverse jinx. I did not do reverse jinx. I was not confident. I was scared. How can you not be? How could anyone blame me? So, I was stressed the entire game. And by the way, this is a good thing that I could do that during the games. Like, I like being able to experience it with my boys. Both boys watched the whole game with me last night. My older son, Corey, he's in on every game with me. He takes it very seriously. It's kind of like I did when I was his age. But I can appreciate it. And I can also give advice where it's like, hey, you need to calm down. It's going to kill you. So, I was super stressed. All three quarters. And by the way, hated the way we started the game yesterday. Hated it. How could you not? We couldn't get anything done offensively. Hated how we started the game. And you'll notice. And so, Joe Mazzulla is going to get a lot of crap. I think it was at this point, I think it was 11-8. Remember, we were down 9-4, and then I think we were down 11-8. And Celtics got a rebound, and they were in transition. And they actually had a guy down the court. And Mazzulla, who he's in his own head, the coach of the Celtics, because all the talk about the timeouts, and now he's been calling timeouts the last couple of games, and he called a timeout, I think it was 11-8, and he called the timeout when the Celtics were about to be on a fast break. The crowd's all into it. You got the Heat on the ropes early. He calls timeout with the Celtics in transition, and from that point on, it was all Heat basketball. The Heat then go up 22-15. They close the quarter there. It was a 14-4 run after that timeout. In total, they closed the quarter on an 18-6 run because it was 9-4. It was all Heat basketball from that point. And Mazzulla's going to get a ton of blame, rightfully so. I know, I make the argument that coaches, why do they have to be a finished product in their first year? But it's one of two things. If you're the Celtics, you got to decide right now. Is this a guy who we believe is going to turn into a great coach? And obviously he's not a finished product in year one, like players are not a finished product in year one. Or have you seen this guy is amateur hour? And I think I would lean toward this guy being amateur hour. We'll circle back to Joe Mazzulla because F him, we're talking about the Heat here. But I stressed out the first 3 quarters of the game. And then finally, with about 6 minutes left, or 5 minutes left, whatever it was, we went up by 20. Finally, I was able to breathe. You felt like, all right, we did it. They did it. So I think the main takeaway, because for me, I couldn't understand how you're going to be able to recover from Game 6. I couldn't understand how the finish to Game 6, you're going to be able to get over that in Game 7. You're playing a team that is better than you. I mean, the resume shows they're better than you. Even after the Heat won last night, you know, the Heat win because of the Heat won that series because of other stuff. The Heat were so much tougher than the Celtics. Not necessarily physically, but just a mentally tough team. Just a real basketball team. The Celtics were easily the more talented team. The Heat were a better basketball team when it came down to the high-pressure moments. But the resumes tell you that the Celtics are a better team. The whole season told you that. And the Celtics had won 3 in a row. And now it's Game 7 in Boston. And you know I don't care about it being Game 7 in Boston. Which, by the way, you know I don't care about it being Game 7 in Boston. The Panthers end the Bruins season in embarrassing fashion in that building. The Heat end the Celtics season in embarrassing fashion in that building. We don't care about that building. We own that building. That's South Florida sports. That's South Florida Garden. That's what it is. That's not the TD Garden anymore. That's the South Florida Garden. We own that building. That's our building. So I don't care about them playing in that building. But just the recovery from the way they lost Game 6. And the Heat are always going to say all the right things. The players, it's part of how mentally tough they are. The players, the coach, you know, Eric Spoelstra after Game 6. I mean, listen to how Mazzulla talks after the games. Boy, what an asshole he comes off as. Go watch some of his post-game stuff yesterday. He is just an asshole. And Eric Spoelstra, after what I had felt at the time, was the worst loss, the worst moment in Miami Heat history. I had it up there. I think the worst loss, there's 2 worst losses in Miami Heat history. Well, moments, losses. Like, the worst moment in Miami Heat history was Allen Houston, and now still is, thank God, was Allen Houston 1999, ending the Heat season. They were number 1 seed, the Knicks number 8. They're the only, before Miami Heat this year, number 8 seed to go on to the NBA Finals. And Allen Houston shot worst moment in franchise history. For me, though, the worst loss in Miami Heat history is Game 2 of the 2011 NBA Finals. The Heat are up by 13. LeBron Wade are shadow boxing with like 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter. The Heat are about to go up 2-0 on the Mavericks. Instead, it's 1-1, and we know the Heat winds up losing the series in 6. They would have been up 3-0 after winning Game 3. You win the championship if they don't blow that fourth quarter in Game 2. To me, that's the worst loss. Not the worst moment, because it's not an individual moment like the Allen Houston shot or like the Derek White shot. But that, to me, was the worst loss in Miami Heat history. And Game 6 was going to be the worst moment and maybe also the worst loss. We'll get back to that. But to be able to recover from, you know, Eric Spoelstra after the game, this is the point I was trying to make. Eric Spoelstra after the Game 6, I don't know how we're going to do it, but we're going to go up there to Boston and we're going to win that game. That's the big takeaway if you're a Heat fan That's the takeaway from this game. To recover from game 6 and win this game, that's what Heat culture is about. I thought there was no way to recover. I would say, 28, maybe 29 of the 30 teams in the league do not recover from the way the Heat lost game 6 and then having to play game 7 on the road. Heat culture recovers from that. I don't know how you come back and do it, but they did it. That's what Heat culture is. That's what Heat culture is about. That's what we're talking about. And look, you can point your finger right at me. Maybe I lost sight of that because I did not know how they were going to recover. But this team, they're not the Sixers. This is as mentally tough a team you've ever seen. It's as mentally tough an organization you've ever seen. This isn't the Sixers, where after they blow game 6 in the fourth quarter to Boston, you got that pathetic effort in game 7. This is a team of warriors. And they take their cues from their best players. And that's Jimmy Butler, and to a lesser extent, it's Bam Adebayo. The exact same way the culture began. This team, Heat culture, takes their cues from their best player. There's no complaining. There's no excuse making. You watch it throughout the game. Jimmy never complains. The only guy on the team that actually complains is Kyle Lowry. But he's not one of us. He's not one of ours. He's been doing that for 20 years everywhere else. Nobody complains on this team. The coach never makes excuses. This is a no-excuse business team. They take their cues from their leader. And the exact same way the Heat culture began. Back in 1997, I know Riley 95 traded for Zoe, but in the second year, by then, and they'd also traded for Hardaway in the middle of that 96 season. But then you get to 97, and I love this story. It's the same way the Heat culture began. This team takes their cues from their best player. And back in the second year, Riley's second year, you got Hardaway and Mourning. They're the second best team because the Bulls are doing their thing. And in the middle of that season, the Heat trade for Jamal Mashburn. I love this story. Mashburn in the middle of the year is coming from a terrible Mavericks team. He doesn't know what... He doesn't know how to a winning culture in the professional level. And the very first practice that Mashburn is with the Miami Heat, Alonzo Mourning and Tim Hardaway put him through the ringer. They have the hardest practice they've had the entire year because they got to show this guy, this is how we do it here. This is what we're about. And when the best player on the team, in this case Jimmy Butler, has that attitude, the entire team takes on that attitude. They take on the personality of their leader. And back then when it all began, Alonzo Mourning, Tim Hardaway, they show the rest of the team, they show a new star player in Jamal Mashburn, this is how we do it here. When your best players behave that way, everyone better behave that way. And that's what the Heat culture is about. That's what it's about. What a night. What a tremendous night. Just kicking the shit out of that team. Eat it, Boston. We own your city. South Florida Garden. That's our building. You think I need a 3-0 collapse in my life? You think I need that shit in my life? And because I got these messages last night, yeah, Game 6, the Derek White, no longer the worst loss in Heat history. It was always contingent on what happens in Game 7. Now, I thought they were going to lose Game 7, so I had stamped it already. But it was always contingent on what happens in Game 7. Game 6, it's like the Ray Allen shot. The Heat had to win Game 7 for the Ray Allen shot to live in infamy, for it to mean anything. It meant nothing if the Heat don't win Game 7. We would never talk about it again. The Derek White shot, the end of Game 6, it may as well not even exist it's meaningless. It's gone. It's not the worst moment in Heat history. It's not the worst loss in Heat history. It just doesn't hold up. It held up for 48 hours. That's it. That's it. And thank God, right? Talk about things I don't need in my life. I don't need that in my life either. Completely meaningless. And by the way, knowing how everything... See, this is interesting. If you're a Heat fan listening right now, I love that you're listening to ZASLOW Show 2.0. Hey, make sure you like, you rate, you comment, you do all that good stuff. By the way, let me tell you real quick here. You want to talk about huge Heat fans, all sponsors on ZASLOW Show 2.0. It's a whole vetting process. You got to be a huge South Florida sports fan. That's not true. It's just coincidental. But water cleanup of Florida. You want to talk about huge Heat fans. The Greenstein family, friends with them growing up, family, friends. Nobody's going to take care of the leak in your home or business better, faster, more affordable than Water Cleanup of Florida. And with over 60 years of combined experience, the team at Water Cleanup of Florida, they are prepared to handle all types of leak detection issues 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. After the leak has been located and repaired, Water Cleanup of Florida is going to clean, dry, and fully restore the damaged areas. Call or text 954-900-8635. They serve all the Tri-County area, Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach, fully licensed, insured, and certified to provide the one-stop shopping that all of us busy homeowners and business owners require. There is no need to bring in other contractors. Water Cleanup of Florida handles the entire project from start to finish. Follow them on all social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. And if you don't believe me when I'm telling you you're dealing with the best here, how about just looking up yourself? Go to Google and check out more than 80 5-star reviews. Water Cleanup of Florida, 954-900-8635, or go to WCUFL.com. Water Cleanup of Florida, we clean up your schmutz. And of course, I mean, how am I going to enjoy Game 1 of the finals, which starts on Thursday? I'm all out from the weekend, Memorial Day weekend. Got to go pick up myself a new 6-pack of the official beer of ZASLOW Show 2.0, Johnny Cuba. Hey, I'm not quite out of my Johnny Cuba picante hot sauce made with the freshest lemon peppers you're ever gonna find. I love that hot sauce. I got a little bit left, probably like a third of the bottle left. You go pick that up as well. But if you need a drink, you want a new beer, I love when you guys. I got a message over the weekend too. New customer for Johnny Cuba. ZASLOW, why didn't you tell me before? This is the most delicious beer. European roots with a Caribbean soul, or refreshing German lager in a can. Go pick up a 6-pack of Johnny Cuba at your local Sedano's, Presidente, Winn-Dixie, Fresco y Mas. You always want to drink responsibly. That's why I love keeping a 6-pack of Johnny in my fridge. I go sit down on the couch, I watch the Heat, watch the Panthers. You know we're going to do that with the finals and the Stanley Cup finals. Go pick up a new 6-pack if you're out like me of Johnny Cuba, official beer of ZASLOW Show 2.0. And of course, don't forget Johnny Cuba's mantra, stay tranquilo. So, the Heat, they do it. They win Game 7 on the road for the very first time in franchise history. Last night was only the third time in franchise history that the Miami Heat played a road Game 7. The other two times, 2009 at Atlanta, 2016 at Toronto. So, last night was the first time they ever won a Game 7 on the road, but it was only the third game they've ever done. Anyway, Game 6 is no longer the worst loss in Heat history. The Derek White putback is no longer the worst moment in Heat history. But let me ask Heat fans this. Knowing how everything played out, we were so nervous leading up to Game 7. We were on the verge. I mean, the line is so thin. We were 48 hours away last night going into the game, 48 minutes away, going into the game last night, of being the 8th seed and getting to the NBA Finals, or being the laughing stock of the league forever and the first team ever to suffer a 3-0 collapse. The line is so thin. But for Heat fans out there, knowing how it all played out, getting the Celtics fans' hopes up. Don't let us win 1. Don't let us win 2. Boston, TD Garden, Game 7, which of course now is called South Florida Garden, because we own that shit. Knowing everything that we know now. And now, we always had Game 6 in your building for life. 2012, LeBron. Now we got Game 7 in your building for life. Smoke those jamokes. Knowing how everything played out. I think you like how it ended. Would it have been amazing for Jimmy to hit those 3 free throws? The Heat fans going crazy because Marcus Smart missed the shot and it bounced any other way. It was a normal Marcus Smart brick and the Heat win. That would have been awesome. But knowing what we know now, that we got to rip their heart out on their home floor in Game 7, I think we all like the way it played out. Like Derek White, the Celtic fan, they thought they had an all-time moment with Derek White hitting that shot. Now, it means nothing. It's irrelevant. It's completely meaningless. And we took that from them. Knowing how it all played out, I think we're good with it. I think we take it. I think we like how it played out. Now, let's talk about the MVP. Eastern Conference Finals MVP. So I was on VSiN yesterday, out in Vegas, along with those guys, Tim Murray, former quarterback Sean King, along with them a lot. And, you know, they were saying to me yesterday, Caleb Martin right now is one of the favorites to win Eastern Conference Finals MVP, which is so cool. But I told them, if the Heat, Caleb Martin can't win Eastern Conference Finals MVP if the Heat don't win Game 7. And the Heat can't win Game 7 if Jimmy Butler is not great. And if Jimmy Butler's great, he's going to win Eastern Conference Finals MVP. And that's exactly what played out. Except Caleb Martin was fantastic again also. This is going to be an unpopular opinion, but I'm going to try and convince you. Jimmy Butler winning the Eastern Conference Finals MVP, they got it right. The right guy. It would have been a great story. I was hoping that they were going to hand that trophy to Caleb Martin. I'm going to try and convince you here. They got it right by Jimmy Butler winning Eastern Conference Finals MVP. Let me give you a bunch of numbers here. Let me spell it out. So, like I said, there was no way that the Heat win the series without Jimmy being great. And he was. You could also say ZASLOW. They don't win the series if Caleb Martin wasn't great. That's true too. So, let's look at the numbers for each of these guys. And this is important here, okay? Let's look at the numbers in the 4 wins. What these two did in the games the Heat won is what's most important. The games they lost are not as important how you performed. It's the games that you won. So in the 4 games that the Heat won this series, Jimmy Butler, 27 points, 7 rebounds, 6.3 assists, 45% shooting, 5 of 13 from 3. Very good numbers. Very, very good numbers. Caleb Martin in the 4 wins. 21 points per game, 5.3 rebounds, 3 assists, 65% shooting, 14 of 27 from 3. Phenomenal numbers. Jimmy scored more points, more rebounds, more assists. Caleb Martin shot the ball a lot better and killed it from 3. You also have to understand, Jimmy's going to attract a different kind of attention offensively than Caleb Martin. But nonetheless, Jimmy, great numbers. Martin, great numbers. The only area that Martin's better there is percentage-wise, and he was a lot better than Jimmy. But here's where the argument, I believe, gets made for Jimmy. Because the performance in wins versus the performance in losses matters. In the 3 losses this series, let's start with Caleb Martin. In the 3 Heat losses, Caleb Martin this series, 17 points, 8 rebounds, under an assist a game. 53% shooting. 8 for 18 from 3. Very good numbers. He still played very, very well and shot the ball very, very well. Jimmy Butler, in the 3 losses, 22.3 points, 8.3 rebounds, 6 assists, 37% shooting, 3 for 10 from 3. Bad numbers. Not good. The point is, Caleb Martin was fantastic the whole series. His numbers were down in the losses, but he was fantastic the entire series. Jimmy was fantastic in the 4 wins. He was bad in the 3 losses. By definition, that makes Jimmy more valuable. Caleb Martin was great. They still lost those games. Jimmy Butler was bad. They lost those games. They don't win a game this series when Jimmy is not good. That's the definition of most valuable player. So, I do believe that they got it right. And like I said, probably not a popular opinion. I wanted them to hand that trophy to Caleb Martin. What a story it would have been. I think Jimmy Butler probably wanted them to hand it to Caleb Martin, the team first guy. But the MVP of the series was Jimmy. If he doesn't play well, they lose. If Caleb Martin plays well, they could still lose. If Jimmy Butler plays well, they win. That's the most valuable player. They got it right. They got it right. Again, probably not a popular opinion, but I think it's the truth. Guys, I want to tell you real quick here before we continue on. You know, I've been telling you about homeowners insurance. You got to make sure you're covered. I've been and mine's up for renewal next month. Well, guess who I'm using? Because I know I'm getting the best price anywhere, and I'm getting affordable care, 1 click, 1 phone call away. Brunt Insurance. Bruntinsurance.com, 954-589-2204. Homeowners insurance, I'm not laying awake at night wondering, God forbid something happens, how am I going to pay for this? I know that I'm covered. I have exactly the type of insurance at the best price around that I'm going to get anywhere. My man Mike, he sent me a message today. ZASLOW, thank you so much for recommending Brunt Insurance on your show. I called them. They saved me thousands of dollars on my renewal. I love hearing that, man. Bruntinsurance.com. Brunt Insurance from Pensacola to the Keys and beyond. You're getting the most comprehensive coverage at the best price around. You're getting the insurance coverage tailored exactly to your needs. You see, the market's confusing out there, so you're not going to necessarily know exactly what you need to make sure you're covered properly. And that's why when you call Brunt Insurance at 954-589-2204, Greg Brunt and his team at Brunt Insurance are going to lay it all out for you. Fully licensed staff. And like I told you, from Pensacola all the way down to the Keys, they know the area. They know exactly where you're calling from. And not just homeowners insurance. Car, motorcycle, boat. Maybe you rent. Maybe you're in a condo. 954-589-2204, bruntinsurance.com. What a great night. What a great night. What a stretch. And by the way, if you haven't checked out the schedules yet, the Heat's, the final schedule and the Stanley Cup, we're alternating days again. Now, it's not every day because there's a travel day in between. Like I don't have it in front of me, but the NBA Finals begin on Thursday. And they're going June 1, June 4 in Denver. Then they're taking the extra day because they don't want to play Saturday night. It's the worst TV night of the week. They want Sunday night. So it's Thursday, Sunday, June 1, June 4 in Denver. Then they're taking a travel day. June 7, June 9 in Miami. Then another travel day. June 12 in Denver. June 15, Miami. June 18, potential Game 7 in Denver. So there are extra days built in between. The Stanley Cup Finals, same thing. Stanley Cup Finals begin this Saturday. June 3rd, June 5th are the first two games in Vegas. Then they're going to take an extra travel. Are they taking an extra travel day? Yes. June 8th, June 10th in Sunrise. Then they're taking an extra travel day. June 13, then June 16, then June 19. So we don't have a game every single day, but we don't have any overlap. Living the dream here, man. Alternating days, no interference in the conference finals, and you have every game on its own. Panthers Stanley Cup Final, Heat NBA Finals coming up starting this Thursday. What a time to be alive. So, last night during the game, I got really mad. And I'm a little bit regretful, although it's okay to get mad and point out the obvious, but I was really keeping it low-key for the entire game. And then I just got so mad at Bam. Because you know I love him, and I believe in him. The only guy who I dislike on the team, and I dislike him strongly, is Kyle Lowry. He sucks. But I got so mad at Bam last night. Because I'm defending him, and we need him. And he was so bad offensively last night. He was timid. Remember the one play where Jaylen Brown fell, or maybe it was Marcus Smart? Bam, shoot the elbow jumper. He's not taking that jumper. He's missing layups. He's bobbling the ball, turning it over. He had 4 turnovers last night. He can't catch the ball at the basket for what would be dunks. And I was just livid. But the reality is, and I acknowledge this as well, he was sensational defensively. He was great on the glass. And yeah, they don't win the game without him. But going into the game, you did not see a scenario, even if Jimmy Butler and the best player on the team, Caleb Martin, have great offensive games. The Heat need a big offensive performance from Bam as well. Your big guns, your big guys need to be great or you're not going to win that game. So I was so frustrated. And I regret it. Maybe I was I think I tweeted, what a pathetic, absolutely pathetic performance from Bam. Now I meant offensively, because like I said, he was tremendous defensively. But make layups. Catch the ball. These are elementary things. I was so mad. And I felt a little bit bad about it. Look, I'm wearing my Bam shirt. You know I love Bam. I was really emotional. These last 48 hours before today were so emotional. So I do feel bad about that. He was pathetic on the offensive end, but as pathetic as he was on the offensive end, he was that good on the defensive end. And that is important. I preach how important that is all the time. That side of the floor, it's just as important. So that's, I regret it a little bit. Haywood Highsmith is going to be a player for this team. He's the next guy. That doesn't mean he's going to have a big role in the finals. Maybe he will, though. And I don't want to talk about Denver yet. We'll talk about them tomorrow. Holy shit, is this series going to be hard. But Haywood Highsmith is very clearly the next guy in line. He had a great second half in Game 5. I think he had 15 points. I mean, and, you know, we were getting killed for the most part. And then last night, only played a few minutes. Big difference maker. Love it that Highsmith got the action again last night. I was a little bit surprised that Love didn't play. You knew that Lowry was going to play because they're going to do the whole thing. Oh, it's Game 7. He's a champion. He'll make a couple plays. He had a couple, that pass down low, obviously, to Robinson. He hit a couple shots. But again, the turn of the ball over, dribbling it off his leg, he sucks. But I was surprised that Love didn't play. I thought he was going to get the same, treatment where, hey, that's why we brought you here. But you know what? Love's going to have his moment in the finals. They're going to need his size in the finals. And by the way, what an incredible teammate Kevin Love. First guy off the bench, standing, cheering, smiling. That guy gets it. Tremendous teammate Kevin Love. Zero pouting. But Haywood Highsmith's going to be a player for this team. He's the next guy in line. And I've been saying it most of the season. I knew Duncan Robinson would have his role. I knew he would have his moments. And boy, did he have moments. He was great again yesterday. Getting to the basket. He hasn't even been terrible defensively. Knocking down threes. Taunting the Boston crowd in the middle of the fourth quarter. I'm so happy for him. He also, of course, his trade value has been upped again. They will be able to move him if they want. But I am really proud of him. Tremendous job by Duncan Robinson. And how about throughout the year? How about all the you can't be a championship team with Caleb Martin as a starter? How about all of that? And it's funny because the guys on the TNT broadcast, I don't know if it was on the TNT broadcast or if it was on the postgame show on Inside the NBA, but talk about Caleb Martin. He's going to make a lot of money this offseason. Nope. He's under contract for 2 more years. He only makes $8 million a year. He's not about to make that money. Maybe in a couple years he will. But no, he's on one of the most team-friendly deals in the history of the league. And finally, once again, we'll bring it up. How about Pat Riley has failed Jimmy Butler? I mean, just idiots. Pat Riley has failed Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler couldn't win anywhere else. Chicago, Minnesota, Philadelphia. It's not on him, but he couldn't win anywhere else. He gets here. The team lets him be who he is. He's the most Heat culture guy there's ever been. He's the most perfect fit. And in 2 of his 4 years, he's in the finals. 3 of 4 years, Eastern Conference Finals. 2 of 4 years, he's in the finals. How about Pat Riley failing Jimmy Butler? Get the F out of here. Get the hell out of here. Unbelievable. What a night. What a night, man. Tell you who else was enjoying it last night. You know my man Colin, founder and CEO, Sheets and Giggles. He's coming down here for a Stanley Cup final game. He's based out of Denver, so he's going to see the Heat at the Nuggets for one of the NBA Finals games. Coming down here for Stanley Cup, going there for NBA Finals. You support the sponsors who support the show, and when you support Sheets and Giggles, not only are you supporting a monster South Florida sports fan, but you're getting the best sleep of your life. Become one of over 100,000 Americans who are sleeping on Sheets and Giggles. The ZASLOW family's been using Sheets and Giggles for about 2 months now. That's how you knew ZASLOW Show 2.0 was doing well, right? When Sheets and Giggles jumps on board. We're talking naturally softer, cooler, more breathable, the most comfortable sheets you've ever had. You know I rave about the comforter. I got the eucalyptus pillowcase. Hey, eucalyptus pillowcase too, but the eucalyptus pillow. You ever try a eucalyptus mattress? Go to sheetsgiggles.com. Use promo code ZASLOW upon checkout. Your first order, 20% off. Use promo code HEAT, 25% off. Sheetsgiggles.com. I love how they got the extra deep corners. It's so hard to get the corners to fit, and they fit easily on their 20-inch thick mattress. You got the 400 thread count. They also help you, you know what else I love? You got a tag on the bottom left corner of the fitted sheet. So it tells you where to go. All of us, we put it on. You got a 50% chance of getting it wrong if you just guess. And then you got, oh, this doesn't fit. You got to move it over. They're helping you out there. Anyway, the best sleep you've ever had. Sheets and Giggles, sheetsgiggles.com.